Why is media mix modeling so important?
Well, first of all, it provides a holistic view of particular clients' media mix, and the sort of outputs it can give us are very important and allow us to make data-driven decisions. So, for instance, one of the key outputs is the budget scenario, the budget optimizer. It sort of shows you where certain channels can grow and where to best spend your money, such that you're going to optimize these KPIs and ROAS.
I know certainly when we're talking around the sort of the benefits of the outputs and the sort of benefits of our methodology, one of the most interesting aspects, I guess, here is the ability for these models to take into account sort of the delayed effects of advertising. Can you just talk a little bit about how we do that?
Yeah, so it's very important to take into account the delayed effects of advertising, purely because a consumer won't necessarily act or do anything or even see the advertising immediately. They might see it a few days after launch. So being able to provide or estimate the contribution over a large stretch of time as opposed to immediately is very important. And the way in which we do that is using the model alone. We'll use like a transform on the metric that we're using to describe this channel. Using the model alone, that's only theoretical. It's based on associations and correlations. So the other side to media effectiveness is the incrementality testing. And the way we can sort of infer an ad stock through that is determining the point at which the interval leaves zero for whatever we're measuring. And when that happens, we know that's roughly how long it's taken to see the effects of this advertising. And we feed that causal result into the model, which allows us to provide a suitable, acceptable estimate.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit around data quality, because I know data quality and certainly the data requirements of a model can have some impact on that level of sort of uncertainty in the outputs. Can you talk me through what sort of data's required and maybe any sort of particular issues we sort of may see frequently?
Data quality is really important in media mix modeling and media effectiveness as a whole, because what we're measuring is dependent on data and historical trends and associations over time. So if we've got missing data or data that's not cleaned up or formatted the right way, then that can really sway the conclusions and the results of the model in a way that we won't necessarily want it to. There's also data quantity is something we look at a lot, is quite important. When conducting or building a media mix model, we want to generate insights in the long term. And if we haven't got enough data of that, it really struggles to pick up the seasonalities and the trends that are going on within the data set.
How much time, sort of how much data, sort of like look back, are we sort of talking about here?
Roughly 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
There's no exact right figure. Usually the longer you've got, the better. But conversely, at the same time, if you have too much data, then you'll be capturing trends from a very long time ago and assuming that they may continue in the future.
Sure.
So a healthy in-between is roughly 2 to 3 years. That's what I would recommend.
So what are some of the interesting sort of data points we can sort of feed into a media mix model? I guess we'd sort of call them context.
Context variables will refer to things that aren't direct marketing activity. So that includes variables such as a general trend, measuring if there's an increasing, decreasing trend. Seasonalities as well. Can also take into account average order value, just to see how your sales are evolving over time. My personal favorite is comparing the market value. So if we've got the market value of your particular product and we have the price of the client's product and we divide one by the other, whenever that goes larger than one, then the client will be selling the product more expensive. So you should expect a drop. Consumers will go elsewhere, and vice versa for the other way around.
I know certainly when we've been talking in the team, there's like challenges around certain data sets giving the right amount of signal, because ultimately we are sort of comparing cause and effect and sort of correlating those two things with our delayed effects, over time.
One thing we encounter a lot is multicollinearity. And what that is, that's when two channels that we're not measuring, so these are the independent variable channels, are correlated themselves. When that happens, the results can really be thrown off and swayed a little bit in a way we wouldn't want them to. So to go about fixing that, we usually conduct, we call it model on model, but it's essentially building a model that predicts how one channel affects the other. We feed that into our current model and it's all accounted for like that. But in absence of that, you would lead to inaccurate contributions and possibly model overfitting. So that occurs where the model measures the noise as opposed to frequency. So it's too good of a fit to the point where it doesn't paint the right picture.
That makes sense. What are the sort of benefits you see in our approach, both the type of statistics and the sort of bespoke approach?
Our approach is generally a lot more flexible. And I think because we have relationships with clients across various different markets, applying a one model fits all to all our clients won't necessarily capture and account for the specific business needs of various clients. So conducting media mix modeling the way we do, where we can account for these prior to building the model, is all important.
What should a brand be looking out for then in a well-run, well-conducted media mix model?
Really good quality data, clean data as well. Incrementality testing, media mix model alone isn't going to explain the causation, so we need testing to back the model up, and also hold-out testing. So once the model's fitted over a long period of time, comparing the difference between your results and what actually happened.